Hello. The purpose of this video is to review how to access SharePoint files and to briefly review the data that is now available. Tips for successfully downloading the files and interpreting the data are also included. I'll be using Google Chrome for this tutorial. If you do not have the SharePoint link for the school data files SharePoint site in your bookmarks, you can access it through the Volusia homepage. Click on Departments. Then under Instructional Services, click on Assessment and Accountability. In the Resources section, the first link is the School Data File SharePoint. You must be logged into the network to access this link. Once inside the SharePoint site, there is a New File Update section on the main page. The newest files are linked there. You can also access them on the left side by choosing the appropriate menu. There are two folders that have been posted which contain new data. The first is the 2014 grade by student. Inside this link, you'll find a folder for each of the school grade components listed in alphabetical order. Let's start with reading proficiency, since that is typically the first category on the school grade report. Once you click on this file folder, it will open and a list of every school in our district will appear. At this point, it is important to pause and remember that your purpose in looking at this data is for your professional work responsibilities. Student data privacy laws and our professional code of ethics support the practice of only looking at the school data files pertaining to your job role. Notice that not all the schools are listed on this screen. If you scroll to the bottom, you can click the next page icon to find more schools. For this webinar, we will choose the file Sample School, which does not have any real student information contained in it. If Chrome gives you a message from Microsoft Office, check Always Run on this site. The file name is your school name. It would be best to rename this file when you save it to describe the data. Go to File and choose Save As. Choose the folder on your computer that you would like to save this in and rename the file something descriptive. Let's take a brief look at the data the file contains and how you can use this data. Each row is a different student who was included in your school grade. Student demographic information and up to 3 years of reading FCAT scores are available for each student. Each year has a developmental scale score and an achievement level. The last two columns give you some important information about how the student impacted your school's grade. The last column indicates if the student was counted in the denominator for reading proficiency. Students with a 0 did not count. They were probably not present for both surveys or have some other exclusionary factor. Students with a 1 did count in your denominator. You might find it helpful to filter for students who only have a 1 in the denominator. The numerator columns have 0s and 1s as well. Students with a 0 did not count in the numerator, and students with a 1 did count. You might want to print your list like this, or make a list of the 1s and a separate list of the 0s. When you return to SharePoint, to download your next file, use the breadcrumbs at the top of the SharePoint page, rather than your browser back button. This time, we'll go into the Reading Gains folder. Select your school and follow the same process. You'll want to go through the process of renaming the file name something descriptive and saving it to a locator on your computer where you can access it later. We can return to the main page by clicking the SharePoint logo in the upper left corner. There's a second set of files here that are new. Click on the 2014 School Grade by Grade Level. In this folder is a PDF document for every school. Let's take a look at Pearson Elementary as an example of how to use this data sheet. The first page gives 3 years of school grade history. Each of the school grade categories are across the top. The third row is a calculation of the change in each category from 2013 to 2014. You can see that at Pearson, the percent scoring proficient in reading increased by 10 points. The percent scoring proficient in math increased 12 points. Their overall school grade increased by 121 points. There are 2 other calculations as well. The 5th row shows the change from 2012 to 2013. The final row shows the change from 2012 to 2014. Keep in mind that in 2012, only the writing cut score was lowered from 3.5 to 3.0, so that comparison should be done in context of the changes made that year. You can see that from this data, Pearson Elementary has done an outstanding job of raising achievement in all subjects as measured by proficiency and learning gains. On the second page, there's a breakdown of grade levels by reading and math categories. The first table is reading proficiency. In the numerator, there are students who do not count because they earned a 1 or a 2, and students who do count because they earned a 3, 4, or 5. The denominator includes the students who are eligible to be included in the school grade. This number should match the number of students listed on the first Excel sheet we downloaded from Sharepoint. The percentage is calculated by taking the students in the numerator who do count and dividing by the total denominator. The second table is reading learning gains. In the school grade calculation, students could earn extra weighting for exceeding expectations. A student in level 1 or 2 that made more than a year and 1/3 of growth earned a 1.1. Also, any student who moved up to a level 4 earned a 1.1. Any student who moved up to a level 5 earned a 1.2. For elementary schools, the number of third graders in this category will be small because it only includes retained students. The percentage calculation does not factor in the extra point weighting, so it will be different than what is earned for school grade points. For example, you can see that 65% of students at Pearson made a learning gain. However, if you look at the school grade points on the first page, you see that Pearson earned 69 points for reading learning gains. That is due to the extra weighting on the 1.1s and 1.2. The final table for reading is reading lower quartile. You can see that 76% of the lower quartile students made learning gains. However, Pearson earned 82 points due to the extra weighting. The last page is similar tables, but for math, so I won't repeat the analysis. Notice that our web page is turned into a PDF. We started in Sharepoint, but when we clicked on this file, it opened as a PDF. The best thing to do at this point is find the Save icon, which looks like a floppy disk from the late 1990s. To return to the Sharepoint site, it is okay to use the browser's back button. There's something unique for high schools. On the math proficiency table, you'll see a row for students who counted for one EOC, either algebra or geometry. You'll see another row for students who counted for 2 EOCs, which would be both algebra and geometry. Then to return to the Sharepoint site, it's okay to use the browser's back button. Thank you for taking time to view this video. I hope you found the short tutorial to be informative and useful. If you have any questions regarding Sharepoint or the data you find here, you can contact Alicia Parker or Eric Holland at the Program Accountability Office.